good? Welcome to the Post Off Podcast presented by Mallyway. It's your boy Malik. Thanks for tuning in. So this is game 39 of the season. The Spurs versus the Raptors. The Raptors unfortunately lost, 105 to 104. So I'm not sure if you guys watched this game, but it's kind of like, the same story that's been going on the whole season. The Raptors basically they dominated the first through the third, and then when the fourth quarter started, the Spurs did some great adjustments. Obviously, they have one of the greatest coaches of all time. They got Greg Popovich, but at the same time, it's a recurring theme for the Raptors. When you're getting to clutch time, when you're getting to when things are getting tight, I'm not seeing the same cohesive unit. So let me just start from the jump. So this game was the return of Pascal Siakam. It was the return of Norman Powell. So it was exciting. And then on the other side, obviously DeMar DeRozan came back to Toronto, so it was a little bit emotional. Not as emotional as last year, but there was also there was also another tribute video. I don't know why they did it again, but obviously DeMar was the heart and soul of this team, so I don't mind. They could put up as many videos as they want, but they did another standing ovation for him, and it was nice. It was cute. But when the game started, Pascal Siakam, he looked like he was comfortable. He didn't look like he was too rusty. He started off 4 for 5 from the field. I think he finished with about 15 points. He wasn't really efficient because he started slowing down, in the later stages of the game, but he started off pretty good. He's been out there, obviously practicing, and he's keeping up his cardio. He said that he could have played probably a week ago, but obviously Raptors have one of the best medical staffs in the league. So they kept him out. They kept him out as long as they could, and they brought him back for this game, and he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good aside from, like I said, the second half of the game. He probably didn't look comfortable in the role of a closer. But, that's part of his maturity, right? When I look at Norman Powell was also back. He was solid. Norman Powell was always that dude that, he shows up. He comes up to the game. He's the guy that I always say that, whenever there's a problem, you'll hear Norman Powell come through. He's not scared of anything. And, like my boy Ice Cube said in Boys of the Hood.
Hold on. Oh, we got a problem here?
I mean, that's my boy Norman Powell right there. He comes in, he does his thing. But he played pretty good. If you look at Norman Powell's stat, he actually started the game. He played 31 minutes. He dropped 20 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, which is not bad. But he shot 8 for 14 from the field. 57% from the field after missing 11 games. That's really good. If you look at Siakam kind of struggled, right? So he started off good, but then he ended up 6 for 17, shooting only 35% from the field. So Norman Powell was on point as usual. Like I said, he's the guy that comes in. If people aren't stepping up, he's out there asking, do we got a problem? You guys want me to hold it down? So that's what Norman Powell does. So he came in, and then even in the fourth, he's the one who kind of brought the energy. He shot 4 for 7 from 3 today. So I'm not mad at Norman Powell. Norman Powell, he does his thing. Aside from that, Kyle Lowry played 38 minutes, which is a lot. A guy his age, should be playing a little bit less. But obviously Fred VanVleet is still out. And they needed him. The Raptors were out, they were outplaying the Spurs. They were probably winning. I think it was they went up as much as 18 points. Or had an 18-point lead on the Spurs. So the fact that in the fourth quarter everything broke down, that was really disappointing. So for those of you who watched the game, I think it was from the later stages of the third through, maybe mid-stage of the fourth, the Spurs pretty much went on a 17-0 run. And that's a huge problem. This is something that, I keep bringing up when it comes to the Raptors. Obviously, it wasn't a big issue last year because we had Kawhi Leonard. But, as presently constituted, the Raptors, it seems like they struggle to get their offense going. And this is the difference between, you can have a bunch of, mid-level players that you bring up through the system, through the farm system, through the 905, and the G League or D League. It's good. It's good to do that. But at the end of the day, in crunch time, fourth quarter, it's always going to be their stars against our stars. And right now, we don't really have an alpha. Pascal Siakam right now, I would vote him on the All-Star team. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. He's going to go to the All-Star game, but the final touches to his game that he needs is to be like, give me the damn ball at the end of the game and let me just take us home, which is not something that I'm seeing right now. He's still kind of hesitant at the end of the game. He can score, but sometimes he just stays in the corner. Lowry will bring up the ball, and I don't really know. I'm looking for, say, especially like, when the game's tight, I'm looking for Siakam to tell Lowry to give him the ball. Nobody can guard me, basically. That's what I want to hear from Siakam. And I don't think he's at that stage. I don't know if it's because he doesn't want to do it, or is it, maybe he's giving a little bit too much respect to Lowry. Maybe he just assumes that, or maybe it's the coaching staff that at the end of the game tells, or draws the plays that has to go through Lowry first. But, on any team, you can see that when there's an alpha, when there's a superstar on the team who knows nobody can guard him, at the end of the day, he'll say, forget the play, or maybe not forget the play, but make sure that play runs through me. Like, if you have that status on the team, you're supposed to say that to the coach, or you're supposed to say that to your teammate. You're supposed to take charge. And I'm still waiting for Pascal Siakam to do that. I love Pascal Siakam, but like I said, he's an all-star, but he's not a superstar yet, because I still don't see him do that. He needs to take that step. He's better than DeMar. In my opinion, he's better. He's already better than DeMar DeRozan. But the difference is DeMar DeRozan is more seasoned. So you could see at the end of this game that DeMar DeRozan said, "Bun everybody. I'm just going to take over the game." DeMar DeRozan had, a lot of decent plays in the second half. He didn't start off too good, but in the second half, if you watch the game, he was driving. His mid range is obviously great. He's been in Toronto for a while. We know about his mid range game. His footwork is amazing. He was obviously, driving around, dunking on people. I don't know if you guys saw, but Chris Boucher is one of our, best shot blockers. In the second half, I think it was in the third quarter, DeMar DeRozan just drew down the lane and threw down a massive dunk. Chris Boucher just dropped to the floor. DeMar DeRozan actually got teed because, he was kind of grilling Chris Boucher. But at that moment, the whole crowd was just quiet. This reminded me of a scene from Gladiator. Literally, when DeMar posterized Chris Boucher, the first thing that popped up to my head was,
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
I mean, that's pretty much what DeMar did. DeMar just shut down the whole building, looked around, reminded us why he was great, reminded us why he was, an all-time Raptors. He did his thing. So if you look at the, the statistics, in the second half, DeMar DeRozan was 10 for 10 from the free throw. So that's one thing that I always loved about DeMar DeRozan. I miss him. Obviously, this guy can't shoot threes to save his life, but this man can get to the lane. He makes his free throws. And, he pretty much, what did he do? He played 34 minutes today. He had 25 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. He shot 7 for 12 from the field, 58%, which is good because DeMar's not always efficient. As a Raptors fan, we know DeMar DeRozan. He's not always efficient. But in this game, obviously, he had a point to make. He was super efficient. And then, like I said, 11 from 14 free throws. But in the second half, he was 10 for 10. So DeMar DeRozan, when he plays against a team that he's confident with, or he's confident beating, he can step up. Like I said, he's seasoned. He knows when to tell his teammates to just give him the ball and, let me take over. And even with the Raptors, he wasn't always successful in the playoffs, but in the regular season, you could see that DeMar DeRozan, at the end of the game, there was no confusion. It's like, give me the damn ball, let me handle this. And right now, this is what the Raptors are lacking right now. I think at the end of the games, if you look at a lot of our losses, against good teams, it's always the same thing. It's kind of like it gets tight at the end of the game. And again, you can't let the other team go on a 17-0 run. Like that's like I think it was like a 5 minute stretch when the Raptors didn't score. That's terrible. Like if you're gonna do that, you're definitely gonna lose. And I'm not surprised you don't get blown out if that happens. But it was a good game to watch. It was a really good game to watch. Like I said, it was the Raptors at the end, and they made a push when Norman Powell came in. The Raptors went on a 901. Sorry, they went on a 9-0 run, and then they pretty much took the lead. I think it was 99-98. But then San Antonio came back and hit a three. And then the Raptors responded. They had a timeout. They drew a play for Pascal Siakam. Pascal Siakam was guarded by DeMar DeRozan. That should have been barbecue chicken, like Shaq says. Barbecue chicken, straight up. He did pull like his famous spin move on DeMar DeRozan. And then DeMar DeRozan was pretty much left in the dust. But when he spun on DeMar, he had a wide open layup and he just missed. So again, Pascal Siakam second half didn't play that well. I don't know if it's just rust, but usually when Siakam pulls that spin move, that's an automatic 2 right there. So yeah, because he missed, we didn't get a chance to tie the game. I think what happened later, if I recall, I think we fouled DeMar. He made a couple free throws. We fouled Aldridge, or no, Lowry hit a big 3, obviously. And then we fouled Aldridge. Aldridge missed a couple free throws. Raptors had an opportunity to win the game, but at that point, it was only 4 seconds on the clock, and we didn't have any more timeouts. So that's pretty much how the game ended. Another disappointing loss. This reminds me of the Portland loss where we were winning the whole, first 3 quarters, and just because we have a lack of superstars or a lack of people who are can stop the bleeding, we get beat in the fourth, and that's sad to hear. So that pretty much leads me to our record. So we're 25-14, still pretty decent shape. We're still the 4th seed in the league, or sorry, in the Eastern Conference. There's been some trade rumors. I don't know if you guys heard, rumors, regarding Andre Drummond, Kevin Love, and then more recently, Gallinari. To be honest, none of these moves to me really move the needle. I wouldn't mind if we manage to make a trade that where we don't have to give up too much. I wouldn't mind having Andre Drummond on the team. If we can maybe give away Gasol and maybe a 1st-round pick, and if we can get assurance from Andre Drummond that he's going to re-sign, because Andre Drummond has 1 more year left, I believe, and he has the option to decline that. So we just got to get assurance from him. A lot of people are skeptical about Andre Drummond. They think that, it's not a good move. He's going to want the max. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, we need some talent. Like the Raptors really need talent. Other teams, there's a lot of good teams in the league that complain about lack of shooting and lack of talent. And to me, they're already more talented than we are. So why shouldn't we feel the same way? The Raptors should always go for talent as much as they can, right? So yeah, the Andre Drummond move, I don't mind. Kevin Love, I'm a little bit more hesitant. I think he's a better player. I think he would fit our system a little bit better. But Kevin Love, he's proven not to be durable. And his contract, he's already signed and booked for the next 3 years, right? So I'd rather have Masai Ujiri give Drummond a contract than to be stuck with Kevin Love's, huge contract for the next 3 years. And at the same time, I don't know if he's going to be totally reliable. And then the last one is, Danilo Gallinari, which could be a good move. We do need some 3-point shooting. But again, Gallinari, I don't know. It reminds me of another, Andrea Bargnani, right? I don't know if I want another guy who doesn't play defense on the squad. So out of those 3 rumors, to me, the best out of those 3 to me would be Andre Drummond if we make the right I guess negotiations. But aside from that, that's where I would leave it. But yeah, guys. So basically, before I just cut this short, just wanted to talk about my All-Star picks real quick since we're getting to the All-Star break. So yeah, if you look at what I selected, in terms of guards in the East, it's kind of tough because a lot of guards have been injured. So I think the All-Star game, it always comes down to who you really want to see. So at this point, if I'm gonna pick who I want to see, From the East side, I'm just gonna do Kyrie Irving, Trae Young, and obviously for the front court, we have Pascal Siakam, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid. And then from the West, I think it's a little bit easier because some of the guys who are going to the All-Star team, to me, they're a level above some of the rest. So for the West, I'm gonna go with James Harden, obviously Luka Doncic, who's the surprise of the year, and in the front court, that's gonna be super easy. That's Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, and obviously Anthony Davis. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know in your comments, in the comment section if you agree with my All Star picks. If you agree with the what's it called? Obviously, the assessment of the Raptors and Spurs game, and yeah, it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch. So obviously, it was a Sunday night game. There was Power came back on, so I was a little excited. Actually, when the game ended, I was like, let me just go watch Power before the podcast ended because they have this whole thing going on about who killed Ghost. But yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys. But thanks for tuning in, and until next time, peace.